Welcome back to Down the Lineup. Today I'm here with my co-host Sunny. How are we feeling today?
The Mariners are in first place, so
Yeah.
another day.
Yep. So let's get right into the recaps. So I lost my lock for the first time this year, with the Guardians dropping 3-4 to the White Sox. This is tough. I mean, the Guardians were kind of out to a heater, and I kind of thought they'd keep it going,
Yeah.
especially against the White Sox, but didn't happen.
I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
There's not much to say on
That one,
that.
that's a tough one. Guardians.
Nobody would have seen that one coming. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Guardians kind of coming back to life. Yeah, I knew they weren't going to be like the top of the AL like they were to begin. Um,
They're playing
you're
great baseball still, though.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're still doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Just tough series. If you're a Guardians fan, tough series to lose. Especially
Yeah.
against the White Sox,
Yeah.
who have a negative 90 run differential coming to today.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, if you're a Guardians fan, and your team hasn't experienced much success lately, you want to see like your team beating these really bad teams.
Yeah. For your lock of the week, you took the Dodgers over the Marlins.
Yep.
Sweep pretty
Yeah.
easily. Dodgers looked amazing. Their hitting was outstanding in this series. It was basically like BP for them. I mean, everyone probably had a homer in there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Pitching Yamamoto through 8 innings. Bueller came back for the first time, which I literally thought was never going to happen ever again. Um, Hitting was great, like you said. The pitching could have been better, in my opinion. Like I said, like we said before, this pitching hasn't or isn't come to life yet. Hasn't come to life yet, I guess. So, just praying that everyone gets healthy and that we have a full rotation.
yeah. Um, I feel like with the Dodgers, just these series against the Marlins, to kind of just like tune up, just kind of flex your muscles a little bit and
Yeah,
show off what you got. So
yeah,
took care of business.
yeah,
My upset pick of the week was the A's taking or they lost 2 out of 3 against the Rangers. I had the A's upsetting. Defending champs took care of business in the
little
weekday
gamble pick that
series.
you've already done before.
Yeah. They 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 didn't come in clutch this time,
Yeah,
and Rangers took this series before having a tough
yeah,
series over the weekend. And then the Astros took 2 out of 3 against the Tigers. You had the Astros as your upset pick.
yeah,
Little giggery, we kept going, but
yeah.
they've come in clutch 2 weeks now.
Sky Kyle Tucker's playing like God himself. So
Yeah, yeah. Tucker Alvarez starting to get it clicking. Altuve's still been hot.
yeah,
Yeah, I think Astros might be. I don't know if I'd say they're back yet, but their offense is showing some glimpses.
yeah,
And then a couple big series like over the week, the Royals took 2 out of 3 against the Brewers. And then the Yankees took 2 out of 3 against the Astros, or 3 out of 4 against the Astros. 2 out of 3, sorry. They took 2 out of 3 against the Astros. So, couple of AL teams, taking
it's
care of
good.
business against teams that they should.
It's good to see the Royals beating good teams. Like they're
Yeah.
proving that they're solid.
I
That
think
Salvi Unk run is not gonna end. I'm telling you, bro.
yeah, I mean his this Unk run is legendary. I mean, I don't know how he's keeping this going. But like you said, having Unk Salvi and then the young boys, it's really like exciting if you're a Royals fan to see them,
Yeah,
take care of some good teams. Um, they got a series this week against the Mariners, so we'll see how they fare against another division leader. Um, and then yeah, just real quick notes on my Yankees. Our offense is finally clicking. Judge is finally clicking.
yeah.
Soto's kind of come down to earth, but our pitching's still been amazing. We're basically just waiting on Garrett Cole now, and I really like the way we've been playing in these two series like over the week. Yeah, so we can get to our player of the week. My player of the week is Yu Darvish. He went 2-0 during the week, 12 innings, 12 strikeouts, no ERA, and a .58 WHIP. He faced the Dodgers on Sunday, and he went 7 innings of
Mm.
shutout ball.
Uh,
So, um,
did we really expect them to pitch like that against the Dodgers though?
I mean, I didn't think so. The Dodgers were like blazing hot like when Yu Darvish like had to face him, and then
Yeah.
he kind of cooled them off a little bit. He was dominant.
I feel like Yu's an interesting case because like like it's funny because he has 8 pitches, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
eight at least. Like he throws like three different types of curveballs, and it's almost like a gyro ball the way this thing like it comes out of his hand. You know what I'm saying? It's
Hmm.
really like interesting to see how with age, Yu Darvish has adapted to the fact that he doesn't throw as hard as he does anymore, and so he's utilizing more movement rather than just blowing it past guys now.
Yeah. Um, I mean, yeah, early in his career with like with the Rangers, even with the Dodgers, like he
Yeah,
was kind of a I don't know if he was like that much of a power guy, but he was definitely less like a finesse guy. Now it's
yeah,
kind of like having different touches on different fastballs, different
yeah,
movements, different kinds of like sliders and like
yeah.
curveballs. So it's really interesting to see his resurgence. Yeah, who'd you have for your player of the week?
For my player of the week, I had Eddie Rosario because it kind of shocked me how this dude's hitting like 430 right now.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of insane to think about, right? Like Eddie Rosario's not really the guy who you think of having high numbers, right? I mean, he's kind of been dropped on every team. He hasn't really stayed with one team for too long. It's good to see him playing well. Good to see
Yeah.
guys picking it up.
It's interesting because I know the Nationals, like from an organizational standpoint, I'm not sure what like their stance is on like the young guys.
Well, their future is bright,
Right.
like James Wood, guys like Dylan Cruz, I mean, their future is so bright.
I think Eddie Rosario is playing himself into a trade deadline acquisition. A guy like when he was with the Braves that when
Yeah,
they won the World Series,
yeah,
where you pick him up and hopefully he's that left-handed power bat that can like slug a
yeah.
couple homers and like be a guy
But
who puts
but
you over the
not
top.
yeah, but not someone that you expect to, put up these kind of like numbers, right?
Right.
Numbers where you could say he's single-handedly like carrying the offense.
Yeah. I mean,
I
you
mean, they
don't
always
expect
talk
that
about
out of
guys like,
him.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you always talk about CJ Abrams on the Nationals, how much of like a superstar he is right now. But I mean, they got some hidden weapons, dude.
Yeah. I mean, for both Darvish and Rosario, I'm interested to see like what happens with their teams. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously Padres have a little more expectation than the Nationals, but
yeah,
both guys are, kind of showing out on teams that, might have some decisions to make at the deadline.
yeah.
And then for your team of the week, who did you have?
For my team of the week, I have the Phillies just because they still lead the entire MLB in wins with 28 wins as of right now. This is being recorded at 6:50 on May 13th. So I mean, might change, but I mean the Phillies are playing great ball still. I feel like the pitching, their starting pitching is okay. Their bullpen is absolute garbage in my opinion, to be honest, though. But their hitting is what really kind of stands out, for the team. I mean, that lineup is insane. You got guys like Schwarber, you got guys like Castellanos, you got guys obviously like, Harper, like we all talk about, Trey Turner. And then, the guys who you don't talk about as much, like guys like Bryson Stott. I mean, it's just they are a solid team. They need to make a move though for pitching.
Yeah, I mean, they're my team of the week as well. I didn't really have a team that stood out, so kind of the
Yeah,
same reasoning. The Phillies,
yeah,
they're picking up without Trey Turner. Um, yeah, their hitting I think is super well rounded,
yeah,
especially when Trey Turner comes back. You have speed at the top, power at the
yeah,
top. Schwarber,
yeah,
Harper's three hitter.
yeah.
You got some guys like Realmuto, Alec Boehm, who's been hitting really well.
And, you
Castellanos,
talk about guys like Real Muto and Bohm, like they're not even like doing great as of right now. You know what I'm saying? Like not
yeah,
like as outstanding as you want them to be
yeah,
throughout the year, like in matters of consistency. And so, I mean, that team is a playoff team. We all know it.
yeah.
Like we all know guys like Real Muto and Bohm and Stott. They heat up during the playoffs. So
Mhm. Yeah. We'll get to the playoff talk a little bit later because that's gonna feed into my question for the Phillies. So yeah, we'll dive into that a little bit later.
yeah,
But for right now, let's get to the next week preview. For my series of the week, I have the Mariners Orioles. Couple of teams who are in first place, but have slim margins of leading their division. For the Mariners, it's gonna be to see, are they gonna be able to kind of catch, kind of like you know, stay with the big dogs.
Yeah.
They've been a 90 win team, but if they want to win the division, they're gonna have to win, mid to upper 90s.
Yeah.
And winning these series against the big dogs is really gonna help them kind of build confidence and then help Seattle kind of build towards making a playoff run. And then for the Orioles, another test, they're a young team. Um, they got some young guys, but they've done it before. It's just another test for the Orioles. And, you know, in the AL East that, you got the Yankees contending. It's gonna be interesting to see, for which team like kind of takes care of business and then which team might like give up their lead in the division.
Yeah. I mean, on the Mariners side, you look at their schedule so far, and they haven't really played any team that's like been super outstanding, besides like I guess Texas, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they played
I
the
mean, since
Braves.
the Braves, I mean, they played Cincinnati, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, it's just they haven't really played like top competition in the AL, I feel like at least. They're playing the
hmm
Royals right now as we speak. This dude George Kirby was in bases loaded for the first inning because he hit someone and he walked someone. But he got out of it as of right now, so which is good. Um, it's about how the Mariners fare against the tough teams. I feel like
hmm
they're very solid against, just mid-average teams. They get their wins. The beginning of the season was a little rough, but the team gets their wins. It's really about how they compete, and they proved it once with the Braves so far this year. But it'll be more important for them to be AL teams, no?
I think yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
those are the teams you're gonna face like throughout the playoffs or potentially facing the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that's gonna really help them like build if they want to become like a deep playoff contender.
Yeah.
I think this is a key month for them.
Yeah.
Um, they play, KC, they play Baltimore, they play Yankees. That little stretch, especially going to Baltimore and going into New York, um, that's gonna be big for them, seeing if they can like kind of keep like I said earlier, live up there with the big dogs, be a powerhouse team. And then for your series of the week,
I got the Padres and the Braves just because if the Padres play the way they did against the Dodgers, like they're bound to take 2 out of 3
hmm
against Atlanta. Or it's a 3 game series, I believe. They're bound to do that though. Their pitching
hmm
was solid, their hitting was solid. The funny thing about the Padres is that they play so differently when they play the Dodgers. Like it's like something just clicks for them, Like it just means more to them to win the game. But
hmm
I swear they don't play like this when they play any 29 other teams in the league, 28 other teams.
I wonder if I
29.
mean, I think it might have to do something with like, there's teams when you're like a lower, I don't know if San Diego is really a lower market. I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say they're a big market like spot, but they've got
Yeah.
some free agents. But when you're like in a state where you're not the top team, not the top tier market,
Yeah.
you kind of have like that little brother mentality when you face them. And
Uh-huh.
like it's always that little fight. You give an extra fight.
Yeah.
Like when the Clippers play the Lakers, right? Or
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Or when the Mets play the Yankees.
right. It's always
Yeah.
like they got a little bit of like extra, little
Yeah.
extra.
Yeah.
And the SoCal rivalry,
Yeah. Or when
interdivisional
Houston
matchup.
or when Texas plays Houston. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like the little, well, Texas and Houston, I don't know who's like the little brother in the situation. It's kind of been like, I mean, Texas is supposed to be the bigger market, but
Yeah.
Houston's been kind of better. But
Yeah.
the Dodgers, when you're playing the upset Dodgers, it's kind of like, especially when you like go to LA, it's
Yeah.
like, you want to show out, you want to like prove your worth.
Yeah.
And Dodger Stadium, one of the, premier like stadiums to go to.
Uh-huh.
And like, even when fans take over San Diego,
Yeah.
I see these posts about like, oh, Dodgers fans have taken over San Diego. And
Yeah.
it's kind of like, giving it to them like, hey, we're here. We're gonna like play extra hard, give extra effort, try to beat you
Yeah.
guys. And I think that's what it is. I mean, when you play like a Milwaukee, there's not really like a rivalry. It's kind of just
Yeah.
another series, but the
Yeah.
Dodgers are something different.
Yeah. I'm sorry, just to get off topic, Josh Rojas just hit 2 foul balls and they were both caught by the same guy
That's crazy. Same fan.
in right next to like the 330 sign in the outfield. He just smacked both Oppo to left field and this dude just caught both balls.
Hey, that guy's got to get a lottery ticket or something.
Unbelievable. That's unbelievable. He
That
might
is
as well go buy a lottery ticket tonight.
yeah. I mean, sheesh.
Unreal. Anyways, sorry.
Imagine going to a game, just
That's what
trying to
I'm
enjoy it.
saying.
Next thing you know, you got two like in the first inning, two coming right at you.
And they weren't fly balls. They were like line drives
Yeah,
too. My God.
that's crazy.
Hilarious.
Our upset series of the week. So
Um,
my upset series is the Pirates over the Cubs.
uh,
Pirates have kind of cooled down after their hot start, but I still think they're a team that's capable of winning series. And
yeah,
then the Cubs have been playing pretty well. I don't know if they're a team where I expect them to be like this good in a
yeah,
sense. I mean, they if they do keep this up, I wouldn't say I'd be surprised, but at the same time, if they lose a series to Pittsburgh, which I do expect, I think I'll be like, yeah, the Cubs kind of like cooling down a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. You got it. Um, I mean, you pretty much hit all the buttons
Yeah.
there. To move on, I got Houston beating the
Yeah.
Brewers. I'm
Hmm.
just gonna keep voting Houston until they freaking figure it out. We'll talk about it later in the bulk of the episode. But it has to do with their pitching. So
Yeah.
we'll move on from that.
I mean, in the same series, I got the
Yeah,
lock of the week being the Brewers.
yeah,
I think you kind of mentioned it earlier, and we will talk about it, but Houston hasn't looked amazing. They've turned it around a little bit. They've started to have
yeah,
some like 500 weeks,
yeah,
but I mean, the Brewers are still good, and coming off a loss to KC, I think this is where they kind of like turn it around.
yeah. I got the Yankees locked against the White Sox just because it's the White Sox and
Enough
it's the
said.
Yankees. The trio of Judge, Stanton, and Soto will not allow themselves to lose against the White Sox.
Yeah,
I'll just
this
leave
is
it at
one.
that.
I mean, there's not much more to say on
Yeah,
that one.
absolutely not.
Um, Not much news this week. Just
Yeah,
a prospect, top prospect coming up. Paul Skenes made his MLB debut. He topped out at 101.9 miles per
yeah,
hour, and he went 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned, um, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. And I think two of the runs were inherited
yeah.
runs given up. What'd you think about Paul Skenes and how he looked?
I'll say he's looking scary because Paul Skeens got 7 strikeouts during that game, and he couldn't even locate his fastball
Hmm.
where he wanted. He had the yips the whole game. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If Skeens settles down and dials in that fastball, this league is absolutely screwed.
Yeah. Um, Tying into that, I mean, his sweeper is filthy. I mean,
Absolutely disgusting.
the movement on that is crazy. And
It's
like,
because how whippy his arm is with the amount of length he has. It
mhm,
just combines into spin rate.
yeah,
And with how big his like hands are too. I mean, this dude was like made to be a pitcher. So,
yeah. I mean, he looked nice. I mean, he did give up
yeah.
6 hits and
Yeah.
3 earned. So you like to see a little more like length in him, but he's still
Yeah.
young. So,
Yeah.
and like the Pirates aren't really contending this year. So, I mean, if he can develop this year, learn how to control the fastball, which I don't
Yeah.
think he's gonna have a problem with, and kind of mix it up a little bit, I think the league is kind of screwed for the whenever he figures it out.
Yeah. Couple of other things I got.
Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani was out of the lineup on Sunday with some back
Hmm.
tightness against the Padres. Not very concerning to be honest, just because in his interview he said he went through his whole pregame routine, he was fine. Um, so just something to look out for, I guess. Something that
Yeah.
might affect him down the road later on in the year. Um, Ohtani's not really a stranger to injuries. He's had Tommy John in high school.
Mm.
So, um, another thing I got is it feels like the Mariners hitters who we need to get going got going over the
Hmm.
weekend. No, guys like Garver, guys like Julio. Even Polanco's getting a couple hits here and there. Rojas is still as good as he is. Feels like the guys who need to get hot are getting hot now.
Yeah. I'll talk about that a little bit later, just because I
Yeah,
kind of dove into that a little bit.
yeah,
But yeah, so we'll keep that on like the back burner real quick, just because there's something I want to like ask you about,
yeah,
and we'll transition right into it. The bulk of the episode today is every team's biggest question. We're about a month and a half into the season, so some trends are starting to show. There's some questions popping up.
yeah,
Teams are starting to get worried. Some teams are, starting to be like, are we for real? Are we real
Yeah.
contenders? So let's get into it. I
Well,
ordered these. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I just want to start off with the beginning, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
There are four teams we got, I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
who I feel like are all in the same category of their biggest so-called quote unquote question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got the Marlins, who are
Yep.
11 and 31 right now,
Mm-hmm.
just gave away Luis Arias, their
Yep.
two-time Silver Slugger second baseman. We got the White Sox, gave
Mm-hmm.
away Dylan Cease over the offseason. We
Mm-hmm.
got the Rockies, who I can't name a single player on that freaking team.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the Angels,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do you think they fall under?
I mean, they all have like this like my questions for all of them are pretty much the same thing. Just real quick to note, like I ordered these by reverse like standings.
Uh,
So the worst teams at the top and then the
yeah,
best teams at the bottom, just real quick. But with the Marlins, my question is who's next? Who's getting traded next? White Sox, it's more specific on Luis Robert. Like, what's his future?
yeah,
Like, he's not getting any younger. Are they going to try to ship him off, kind of rebuild?
yeah,
The Rockies, I mean, that one's the one that I kind of emphasized. It's
yeah,
like, what is the plan for the future? Because they have a bottom 10 farm system. They're 21st ranked by MLB
yeah.
Pipeline. And like you said, I mean, they have guys, Ezekiel Tovar's pretty, like, he's all right. Nolan
I mean,
Jones.
he's getting good and his defense is A plus,
Yeah.
but is it enough to like get some worth out of him?
Nolan Jones is there. I know Ryan McMahon is there. Charlie Blackman, Unk status guy,
But
is over there.
Charlie Blackman's 2 years away from retiring.
I mean, I'm not saying any of these should be traded. It's just like, what's their plan for the future? Like, are
Yeah,
they planning to just roll out this team for another couple years and hopefully build on the farm system?
yeah,
Are they looking to trade some of these younger guys, get some haul back? Um, Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, what's their plan for the future? And then the Angels, I know what their future is. My thing
yeah,
is, what's like, where are they? What are they gonna do with all this money they have on the roster? Rendon and Trout specifically, like, you can't do anything with Rendon.
yeah,
Rendon is damn near untouchable for the wrong reason. And
yeah.
then Trout is like, he can't stay healthy. You know, the
And
baseball
it's not
gods
even
seem to
that. It's
hate
not
him.
even about that. He's old. You know what I'm saying?
That's yeah, that's too.
It's not 2012 anymore. Like Mike Trout is not an elite, or I guess okay. Let me stop right there. He's not the same young guy he was.
Hmm.
The durability isn't there. The youth isn't there anymore. It's for teams, it's a matter of investment. And like if you're investing in a guy like Mike Trout, how much are you gonna invest and how much worth are you gonna get out of? It's the real
And
question.
And I mean, he's getting paid the bag. This isn't like an old guy on
Yeah.
a veteran like discount.
Well,
This is
he's
still a
still
guy
one
who's
of the greatest players of all time, and he's for sure a Hall of Famer. So he
right.
deserves all the money he gets.
He does, yeah. But
But
it's just like it's the fact that like the Angels haven't done anything. I mean, it's
exactly.
a story that's been told every. He doesn't have a postseason win. Like not even talking about series win. He doesn't have
I
a
mean, they were
win.
in one wild card.
Right.
Like,
They've been in one series. They got swept in that series. Trout hasn't sniffed the postseason since then. And for all four of these teams, it's just like, what is their future? I guess for the Marlins, you kind of get a glimpse of it. White Sox, you might get start to get a glimpse of it. But yeah, what do you think about these four teams, these bottom four teams?
I mean, it's just time to rebuild, guys. Sell your rosters, get what you can out of them, and you know, plan on your draft picks, dude. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's about the draft picks at the end of the day.
I think
Your future starts with the draft, and it's not even with the draft, it's about your scouting. Invest
mhm,
more in your scouting, guys. With the Marlins, they're freaking screwed because they fired their like assistant GM who was like the top, she was like the top dog for them. She was literally the reason like all those players came and
mhm.
they had all that success. So in my opinion, the Marlins are the most screwed out of the four. The
Yeah.
Angels can at least keep a star player. You know what I'm saying? The Marlins, I mean, I don't remember the time when like that roster was consistent.
Hmm.
So, I mean,
I don't
no
think there has been a
synergy.
time.
No synergy within Miami.
Yeah. We can get into the I want to group the next two together,
Yeah.
since we've been like grouping them.
Yeah.
It's the Astros and the Cardinals. So the Astros are 15 and 25,
Yeah.
Cardinals are 16 and 24.
Yeah.
Um, And my questions, at least like they're kind of similar, but not. My question for the Astros is, can the pitching turn it around? They lead the
Absolutely
league in
not.
batting average, but they're the third worst in ERA, and it's kind of coming out of nowhere. It's not like they lost a bunch of pitching guys in the
Yeah.
offseason. I mean,
Yeah.
Verlander's on his way back, but he's old, getting old. Framber is starting to get figured out. Hunter Brown is not who they thought like he would be.
Yeah.
They've lost a couple of guys. They lost Urquidy and lost Luis Garcia, and then like it's like what Ronel Blanco's been amazing. He's the only guy in their rotation who's been good. But
Yeah.
like for a team that hits so well, it's like their pitching is losing them so many games. Their bullpen, Hader had a pretty good week, but he's had a tough start to the season.
Yeah.
It's like what's going on with their pitching? Like, can the pitching turn it around?
For me, it's partly the way they're being utilized in a sense, the way the
Hmm.
bullpen is being utilized, the way Hader's literally sticking out there for. One over an inning.
Hmm.
I mean, it's partly the way they're being utilized. I mean, we've said it time and time again, oh, the Astros are gonna figure it out. They'll figure it out. It's the Astros. Surely they figured it out. I mean, we're 40 games in the season now, you know what I'm saying? Like we're a quarter of the way through, and the
Hmm.
Astros have not figured it out
Yeah.
whatsoever. They look like one of the worst teams in baseball right now. And the only thing that keeps them in the conversation for, oh, like they'll figure it out is their offense.
Hmm.
It's time to sell the pitching staff. It's time to give it up. This pitching staff was great before. It's not working out, you know what I'm saying? And things don't work out, which is fine, but it's time they get some value out of them.
Hmm.
And
And I wanted
maybe
to,
those
yeah,
sorry, maybe those pitchers will thrive in a different location. Maybe it's just Houston that they can't like thrive in.
maybe. And I wanted to tie in the Cardinals to this because they're also a team that's getting old, but they're kind of
Yeah,
flipped. Their hitting is just terrible.
yeah,
Contreras is now out for indefinite amount of time on a crazy injury. Got hit by a swing in the wrist or
yeah,
forearm, so that's something I've never seen before.
yeah.
But Goldschmidt just, I mean, he fell
Oh
off a
my God,
cliff.
dude. It's absolutely
Arenado
that's
too.
the downfall of Paul Goldschmidt actually needs to be studied.
I don't know what happened to those two. I mean, I know age just like plays a factor, but like I've never seen this before.
The dude has the most like successful experience, wouldn't you say, in the
Yeah.
league? Like he's the guy that's experienced the most like consistent success, in my opinion, besides Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, I mean, him and Freeman are both guys who, you can go into a year and be like, okay, this guy's going to give you good production,
Yeah.
hit for doubles,
Yeah,
hit for
250
decent
average
average.
plus at least. Good 20 home runs, 80 RBIs.
Yeah.
It's just not happened this year.
I mean, he went through this long, it's like 0 for 30 slump, which
Yeah.
is unheard of for Paul Goldschmidt. So I don't know what's going on. Arenado's not been great either. Um, Yeah, the two of them, I mean, something's going on in St. Louis. I don't know what it is, and like I had trust in them going this year. I've lost all hope in that. I mean, I was on the tr I mean, in the preseason predictions, I had St. Louis win the division. I thought they were going to be back.
Like I
And
said, the old heads ain't got it, bro. I said at the beginning of the year, Cardinals are not gonna be good. No matter how much we think they are, it's just not gonna work out.
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Everyone's
that's
time on that team is coming up. Within the next
yeah,
5 years, nobody in that team will half of that team will be retired. So
yeah. Just tying it's the
yeah,
second oldest team in MLB.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
I'm concerned.
yeah. Um, ta moving on to the next one. Kind of want to tie the Reds and the Pirates together.
I was thinking the
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah, because of their youth.
Hmm.
100% their youth, in my opinion. They're young teams. They got good cores. You know, I mean, there's nothing to worry about, in my opinion. No, it just is going to come with the experience. And maybe if
Yeah,
both teams, in my opinion, if they can gather a couple veteran guys per se, guys who've really had some really high levels of success in this league and have seen, you know, high level gameplay in the playoffs and stuff like that. I mean, they're going to be good.
Yeah, for both the teams, neither like are there of them are like worrying about
Yeah,
like how they're doing right now. For the Reds, it's just can Ellie get to 100 stolen bases?
yeah,
I'm not worried about the Reds. Whether or not they don't have a great season, if they do, they're still young. I
yeah.
don't think I'm not worried about like how they're doing per se, like individual players and like development. So my question was, yeah, can Ellie get to 100 stolen bases? He's on pace for 101 and a quarter, but let's round it to 101. And then for the
I get it's
Pirates,
more of a question for Ellie of can he get on base that often
yeah,
to where he has that opportunity, no?
I mean that's basically what it is. It's just can Ellie do something that's like unheard of in our generation? And it kind of just ties into like development of him, of the team, you know. And then for the Pirates, the same thing. It's like how are the Hundo boys, Paul Skenes, Jared Jones, going to develop this year? Because if both of them, progress like significantly, the Pirates might be back sooner rather than
Yeah,
later. But if the two guys have a tough season, it might take another year or two to kind of get it together. But it's just about development for those two teams and like which one of them will be have better development and like kind of rise to the top of the NL Central. But I
yeah,
do expect the Reds Pirates to be a couple of teams that like are contending for playoff spots in a couple years rather than this year.
yeah, absolutely.
Moving on to the Blue Jays. My question for them was, will the top of the lineup turn it around? Vladdy's been looking a little bit better. Bichette's been, hitting the ball a little bit harder. Springer, I don't know. Springer's been interesting, but my biggest thing is just like, how are the Blue Jays gonna like? Are the Blue Jays gonna be able to string some wins together? And will the top of the lineup, who are the part of the lineup that's like most feared? Will they turn it around?
The big thing for me for the Blue Jays is that that team is like the most like connected, if you would say. They've been together like quite a long time. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I feel like it'll come around for them. The Blue Jays have for me though, the Blue Jays they'll turn it around, but they'll turn it around to the extent where like they become like, a solid mid team, but they'll never be like a great team unless they make something happen.
Hmm.
Their bullpen is like average, their rotation is average, their lineup is average. They're just an average team.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. They have like they're top dominated. I think they have guys at the top of the lineup where it's like they're pretty good. And then they have the guys at the top of the rotation, they're like, they're decent, but it's not like well rounded like some of the teams in the upper echelon. That's what my take
yeah,
is.
yeah.
You want to give your take on the next team?
The Athletics. I mean, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, this was
Let's
a hard one for me too.
yeah. I don't really know what's up with the Athletics. Like, I mean, they're moving in a couple years. So it's like that's gonna play a factor, into how much they're gonna spend rebuilding the team. I mean, the management doesn't care enough. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Is their foreign system any good? Like,
I think they have a pretty decent farm system. I remember seeing somewhere, I think MLB Pipeline had them pretty I think they might be middle of the pack. I'll check real quick. But I'll
I
give my
know they
take
have
real
a
quick.
few solid players.
Yeah. Um, so they're ranked number they're 25th actually, preseason ranked. Only one
Jesus
top 100
Christ.
prospect, so I was wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, the A's are screwed. I'd like to move on to the next group of teams, which is the Diamondbacks and the Giants.
Yeah. This is where
Because
I was kind of setting up to have the connection there. I was gonna make the
yeah,
connection because the two things like they have the exact same problem,
yeah.
which is are they gonna be like playoff contenders in this NL
It,
West?
honestly, I feel like the bigger question for them is, are they going to beat the Dodgers? It's the
Yeah.
question every year for them.
Hmm.
The Diamondbacks did against the Dodgers in the playoffs last year. Will they do it again this year? I mean, the Dodgers only got better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Their pitching regressed a little, but it's going to come back by the time playoff starts. I mean, Their biggest question every year for the past 15 years has been, are we going to beat the Dodgers?
Hmm.
That's their only question.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. I kind of went deeper, at least for the Diamondbacks, which is like, is the hangover real?
Yeah.
They are coming off an an unbelievable run where it's like no one expected that run.
Yeah.
They beat the Dodgers, then they beat the Phillies, and it's like, is this like obviously like I kind of go on a side tangent, but like especially in the NBA, when young teams go on a conference finals run or like a finals run, you get like expectations that aren't realistic. And like, if you were to look at the Diamondbacks team this year, going to this year, without the context that they just made the World Series, you would have thought, this team might be a third place team, maybe a second place team if they get it together. But knowing that like they came off that World Series run, it's like, okay, now they're expected to go in the postseason and like make some noise. And it's like now that they're struggling, or not even struggling, they're at 500. It's like this is where they were about last year. They weren't a team that was like highly above 500. So I mean, they're not significantly worse from last year, but it looks like they are just because they came off that World Series run. And then for the Giants, it's like, ever since that 2021 season where they won like over 100 games, they took the division against the Dodgers. They haven't done anything. They've lost out on a bunch of free agents, and it's like, what is their move? Because free agency hasn't been like nice to them. They've gotten a couple guys that didn't pan
Yeah.
out. And it's like, are they going to make a trade? Are they not going to make a trade? Are they content with just being 500 and potentially being a third or fourth place team?
I mean, the question for me is, do they even have guys to like trade
That's
for
my thing too.
to make a serious impact within the team?
It's just like, what's the move for the Giants? Is
Yeah,
there a move for the Giants?
if Blake Snell can pick it up and Logan Webb plays great, I mean, the team is, I mean, that's already games one and two of a playoff series. You know what I'm
But can
saying?
they
If
get
Webb
there?
put, yeah, that's the
I mean,
problem. Can they get there?
you play in a division where you got four of the five teams where it's like all you got like they're fighting for the same spot, which is like the wild
Yeah,
card. Or three of the five teams.
yeah,
Obviously the Rockies haven't, aren't contending. And the
yeah,
Dodgers aren't expected to be a wild card team.
yeah.
So you have three teams basically fighting for one spot, maybe two if you get lucky. Um, the next team, I kind of want to group the next two together also, the Mets and the Nationals. I think they're on polar opposites. The Mets are the second oldest team, or Mets are the oldest team in the league, and then the Nationals are one of the youngest teams in the league, other than like some of the veterans they have
Yeah.
in their system or in the outfield. And my thing with the Mets is, is the age going to become an issue? And then for the
I mean,
Nationals,
for the Mets, I mean,
yeah.
to add on to that, like, at what point do you start, considering trading your players to get value out of them if it's
Hmm.
not gonna pan out, like it hasn't in the past?
Yeah.
At what point do those talks start coming within the organization?
I think the biggest guy is Pete Alonso. He's a
Yeah.
free agent like next or after this season.
And as a
And
guy who's, verbally outspoken that he wants to stay on the Mets, I mean, is that even a realistic option for the Mets? Like, is it something you want to build your play team around, or is it someone where you want to get back, at least 4 to 5 prospects back for, or like three
yeah,
draft picks?
I mean, I think the Mets are like the biggest cautionary tale to why you don't spend in free agency, try to buy your championships
Yeah,
because they're stuck paying Scherzer and Verlander right now. Pete Alonso's going to be a free agent. He's going to command a large sum of money. I
yeah,
mean, they're old too, so like they're not. It's not like they have young guys in the system. It's like where they can kind of like bridge it together.
mm,
And it's like, when will the age like play a factor? When will they shut it down? Like, is Alonso just going to be stuck in purgatory there? And then the Nationals, I think, is the complete opposite. It's like they're so young. CJ Abrams is becoming a star. They got young outfielders in their system, but they have like a couple old guys taking the spots right now. Jesse Winker and Eddie Rosario specifically. And it's like, when will they make a move in the deadline um to let the young guys kind of develop? Because, as good as the old guys are, there's no reason for them to be on the team. If they're gonna be a 500 team and miss the playoffs, I don't see that being like a step forward.
yeah,
Whereas like for the Pirates and the Reds, it's like that's a step forward, getting to 500, like potentially contending for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
With the Nationals having the old guys do it, it's like, well, you're not expected to keep them like for the long term. So like them winning you games isn't gonna like help you in the like long run.
Yeah.
And then
I actually want to group the next three together, if you
next
don't
three.
mind.
Okay.
The Rays, Tigers, and Padres are all mid-tier teams.
hmm
The question for them is what's next, right?
hmm
What do they do, right? You're not at that point where you consider rebuilding. Debatably, the Reds or the Rays. Debatably, right?
hmm
I mean, the Rays just gave up Glassnut, right?
Yeah.
They're one of the best pitchers, so they might be on the cusp of rebuilding. The Tigers and Padres, I feel like are really interesting.
I think the Tigers kind of stick out here just because the Tigers they have the like they have one of the top farm systems.
Yeah,
Um,
but
and
their team is solid. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think the Tigers are on the rise. I think the
Yeah,
Rays and the Padres are kind of on like a this like if they were to finish sub 500, I think it's a
yeah,
disappointment for the Rays
yeah,
and the Padres.
yeah.
For the Tigers, I don't know if it's a disappointment.
But more
Um,
of oh, like things are looking up for us type thing.
yeah, but I mean, my question for the Rays is what direction are they committing to? We've had this discussion since spring training. It's like they
Yeah,
gave up a couple of guys in the
yeah,
offseason,
yeah,
specifically Glasnow. And they have a couple young guys in their system that like can come up. It's like, are they gonna commit to the rebuild? Are they gonna try to do like the bridge system where they have the mix of the old and the young? Can they do that? Will they keep their young guys in the system? Will they trade to try to like pick up some guys? I don't know what their like direction is, but I'm sure I trust the Rays to make the right decision. The Padres, my biggest thing is will they emerge as the second NL West team? You know, every year there's a second NL West
yeah.
team. Last year was the Diamondbacks. A couple years ago, it was the Giants. You know, we've seen the
Padres have been in
Rockies.
it. Padres have been in it a few times
Yep.
now.
It's like, who's that second NL West team, and what's the noise they're gonna make?
Yeah,
You know, during like the late 2010s when the Dodgers made their World Series runs, it's like that second, like the Rockies, the 2018 Rockies, they were just an afterthought. You know, they weren't really expected to make no noise. The Diamondbacks last year surprised everyone, made some noise. The Giants were they made noise by winning the division, but they didn't take care of business in the playoffs. So it's like as the second like they're expected to be the second NL West team. They've bought in during the like they've spent out and like bought players such as Arise, such as Cease. What's the noise they're gonna make getting late into the season?
yeah, exactly. How are they going to fare at the end of the season is a good question too.
hmm Um For the next one, I want to keep the Rangers on their own just because I got something else brewing for the next three teams after that. So the Rangers, my question is, what's like, what's the World Series hangover like, and will they go on a run? Um,
I mean, it's not like the team's necessarily healthy. You know what I'm
right.
saying? Like they're not healthy, but they have the experience.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? And it's not like they weren't a lock. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the
hmm
year for their spot, like they were competing up until the
Yeah.
very game for their first place spot. The team knows how to play, so I'm
hmm
not entirely too worried about them.
I'm not concerned about them. I'm just
Yeah,
wondering, like, because the World Series hangover is expected.
yeah,
Um, and it's just like, is a matter of when or if the Rangers are going to run. That's my
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
The next three teams all have a common theme, in my opinion. The Red Sox, the Mariners, and the Cubs. And the common theme is their pitching's good. The Red Sox have the league best 2.75 ERA. Second place is 3.10. The Mariners also have, you know, great pitching rotation. And
I
the
mean,
Cubs,
historic numbers from them. Let's not forget,
yeah,
21 straight starts with 2 earned runs or less.
yeah. And then the Cubs are establishing a little big three with Justin Steele, Shota Imanaga, and Assad,
Yeah,
Javier Assad.
yeah.
And it's kind of the same theme. My Red Sox question was, can the hot start and hot pitching maintain itself? Um, and then the Cubs one is just like, will they buy with their pitching? Will they buy a bat with their second ranked farm system coming to the year?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my two questions on that. Just your quick thoughts before we go into the Mariners, because I have something I want to talk about with the Mariners.
No, I think you kind of hit it there, to be
Okay.
honest. Yeah.
The Mariners, my biggest thing is what is happening with like their hitting? Like they lead the league
At
in
this point,
strikeouts
okay,
by
at
a
this point,
mile.
you have to think like, do we need to change the strategist?
I mean,
Or is it like a player problem?
I don't know
Because
what you're
if it's
trying
a
to.
player problem, then you open up a whole nother can of worms, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if it's a coaching problem and a game plan problem, like that's easy to fix, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I feel like.
I think I don't know, like since we're in Seattle and we're in the Seattle market, we get a lot of
Yeah.
like the Seattle news.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just like heightened, but we lead the league in strikeouts, 424. The second is 396. It's a mile, and
Yeah.
it's not even close. Like,
That's like a whole player's worth of strikeouts,
yeah,
30 strikeouts. It's like we
it's
have a whole nother extra player striking out that many times. So
when you go up to bat, like it looks as if they don't have an approach. It's the most basic thing that you expect out of like a MLB hitter. It's approach,
yeah.
approach, approach.
Yeah.
There's been so many pitches. I don't know if it's like a team wide can't see the ball, but there's been so many pitches down the middle of the plate where they
Yeah.
foul it off. They're swinging at sliders that, are off the plate. And it's
And they're
like,
taking fastballs right down the middle.
there's been times where it's like, you got every time you get they get the pitch to hit and they foul it off.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, the pitcher's gonna dot up on the corner, right? And now like it's fine if you can't hit the corners. Like they're MLB pitchers, if they can hit the corners, that's props to them. But they're getting curveballs, fastballs down the middle.
Yeah.
Julio
Yeah.
finally hit his homer, but it's like he keeps striking out. He is almost an automatic out until yesterday. And it's like his batting average does not reflect how difficult it is to watch him. The sheer amount of strikeouts this team has. And I mean, if you can't hit, it's one thing. But the strikeout's the most unproductive out, there is. There's been times when we've had runners in scoring position, and the guy strikes out, and now we're in a jam where the pitcher feels so much more confident. One out, runner on second and third, right? For example. A strikeout, now the pitcher has the whole field to work with. A ground ball gets you out of it. All you need to do is get a fly ball. It's the first thing you teach is
Just
like
putting
as
the
a,
ball in play.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like their pitching's been so dominant that they've been able to be over 500 without this legendary pitching like 20 was it 24 starts in a row having quality starts. And it's like without that this team would be at the bottom. They're lucky enough to have this pitching rotation. Will the hitting get it together? Can they stop striking out and like can they put the ball in play?
It's interesting because I feel like most teams' problems is usually flipped. It's usually the hitting,
Hmm.
or it's usually the pitching, that's a liability.
Hmm.
And, because most teams shell out for good lineups.
Hmm.
It's just a whole different, it's like a whole opposite problem for the Mariners.
Yeah.
It's hopefully they'll make, a move, to get,
But that's what we've been saying for 2 years now. Like it's like
yeah.
all they need is a move. Last year they sold at the deadline and then
So
just missed the
we'll
playoffs.
wait and see. We'll wait and see it come back to
Yeah. I
this.
don't know if it's
Yeah.
just the Seattle market that's getting to
Yeah.
us, but
Yeah.
yeah. Um, the next two teams are the Royals and the Twins. They're kind of clumped together. They're both AL Central teams that kind of are performing over expected.
Yeah.
My thing is both of them are they real contenders? Are they playoff contenders?
Are they going to keep it up?
Yeah,
Are they
exactly.
going to keep it up? Yeah.
Um, the next two teams I also think we can kind of group together. The two Central Division leaders, the Brewers and the Guardians. The Brewers, can they pull away? Actually, it's the same thing for both teams. Can they pull away and like establish themselves as like the top of the Central? Um, and then with the Brewers, I just have like one thing on like, is William Contreras like, is this a fluke start or is he,
I'm calling it right now. This is his MVP year.
is it?
Watching him play, this is his MVP year.
Because his power numbers aren't particularly high, but his average is so high that it's like,
Yeah.
is it like which way
It
is it? Is it
overshadows the power number,
and it's
power
like
numbers.
with the low power numbers, is it that like his hitting's just been like lucky, or is it
Yeah.
just that like his power's been unlucky? And
Yeah.
that's my big thing. It's like, is
Yeah.
it which one is it a fluke? Is the
Yeah.
high batting average a fluke, or is the low power,
Yeah.
or I guess like not low power, but like low home run count
Yeah.
a fluke? But that's my thing on the two Central teams.
Yeah.
It's like, can they pull away and like establish
Yeah.
themselves?
I feel like we could group these last five together in a
I
sense.
think, I mean,
We got the Yankees, the
Yep.
Dodgers, the
Hmm.
Braves, the Orioles, and the Phillies.
Hmm.
It's not even about keeping it up. It's about will they dominate in the playoffs?
Hmm.
The Yankees will be back in the playoffs for sure, which
Hmm.
I'm sure you're excited to see.
Hmm.
The Dodgers are in the playoffs every year. Braves are in the playoffs every year. We got the Orioles who bombed down the wild card last year.
But they were the best team in the league last year,
Yeah,
so they're
absolutely.
back for
Yep.
more.
Yep. And then we got the Phillies who, I
And back-to-back
mean,
NLCS runs.
yeah, exactly. Will they make their playoff run? Is the
Hmm.
question. Will it's not even about moves at this point. They got the teams, they got the squads, you know what I'm saying? Maybe the Orioles need a little bullpen pick me up. The Yankees will get their pitching back. Dodgers will get their pitching back. The Braves pitching has proven that they don't need guys like Strider to, carry them. And the Phillies are showing that they're more than just a wild card team, that they're showing
Hmm.
that they could be a division leader, right? It's about the playoffs for them.
Hmm.
How far will they make it to the playoffs?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, the Yankees, can they remain hot with the reinforcements coming? That's my
Yeah,
question. Um, but like you kind of touched on it. Like
yeah,
it's World Series are bust for all these teams.
yeah,
So there's
exactly.
not really like a an avenue where if you like flame out, it's like, oh well, this
Yeah,
was the reason. The Dodgers, like, what's stopping them from winning the World Series? Would it whether it's injuries, whether
yeah.
it's a
Just a
lackluster
bad
playoff performance?
series. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right. It's just like what's the hump they have to get over?
Yeah,
You know, with the 2020 season, you know, that like shortened season and then like being being in Texas and like being kind of separate, I think really helped them focus up on like, hey, we gotta lock in to win the World
yeah.
Series. And then after that, it's been like
Kind of moseying by,
it's
like we
been
won the World Series. It's
yeah.
like we don't want it as bad as you guys want it. They don't want it as bad as they did
Mhm.
5 years ago.
It's been like lackluster performances. Like
Guys aren't
the
showing up. Mookie and Freddie weren't, I mean, they were basically non-existent.
Mhm.
Will Smith wasn't really doing anything. The pitching absolutely freaking sucked. It's
Mhm.
just they play the opposite of what they do in the regular season and the playoffs. If they
Mhm.
play exactly like they do in the regular season, then they are for sure wins, but they just can't seem to do that year after year. And whether it's a 4 game series and the fact that, pitchers have to pick it up and pitch more, and that the stage is higher. I mean, I'm not sure. The Dodgers have sold out crowds every night. So
I think this has been the healthiest they've been in a
yeah,
bit.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy to say that because their pitching is so unhealthy.
Hmm.
So I mean, if this is the healthiest they've been, like how good is this team really? Have
Right.
we really ever seen this team at 100% potential? Like, not really.
Hmm.
It's always been 90, 80. Never the full though.
And then yeah, for the Braves, it's injuries. I mean,
Yeah,
Strider's out for the season. Austin Riley's now banged up. Sean Murphy hasn't played since opening day. It's like, I mean, you don't want this to be start. You don't want to start to become an issue where it's like, when you're heading to the postseason series, you got guys who aren't there, and it's like the little lingering, like, oh, but what if they had Strider? What if
yeah,
they had this player, that player? And it's like they're injured now, which is the like if you were to pick between now and late in the season, you prefer now, but you also don't want you don't want guys to get injured and then like kind
yeah,
of a derailed season.
yeah,
We've seen that from the Yankees last year and from other teams that
yeah,
one injury kind of like derails your season.
yeah.
And then the Orioles and the Phillies I kind of group together as well. It's like they're both teams that like are off to insane starts. And it's like are are they for real? You know,
Are they
the
for real?
like in the nicest way possible. Like the Orioles
Yeah,
are a young team.
yeah,
Like, are they for real?
yeah.
Are they really like the team they were
Are
last
they
year?
legit? Will they?
Yeah,
Are they? Is this just a fluke? Is this like a youth,
right. And then
like
same thing for the
placebo
Phillies.
effect?
Same thing with the Phillies. It's like it's the regular season, but like, are they for real? Their pitching's been
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Their bats have been great.
yeah,
Trey Turner's been out and they haven't missed a beat. It's like, is this for real or is this just
yeah, yeah,
like a 2022 or 2023 Orioles situation where like
yeah,
they go in the postseason and they lose instantly?
yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of it for the questions on every team. We'll be back next week, wrapping stuff up and previewing and talking about more baseball. See ya.
See you guys next week.